When I was in college, back long time ago, back in 1959 and 60 and following, we learned Greek by memory. Today, people just go and type in the word. They don't use memory to learn it anymore. But I just enjoy reviewing it for my own challenge. So I'm going to go through some of Luo. Luo means I lose. And we learned this out of the book of Gresham Machen, which is the beginning Greek text that we use back in the day. And I enjoy just doing it for my own mental challenge. At this point in life, I'm almost 82, and I enjoy trying to keep my mind uh, alert by doing this. So, present indicative active of luo is luo, lues, lue, luamen, luate, luusing. I lose, you lose, he, sure, it loses, we lose, you plural lose, and they lose. I remember when I learned it, thou loses, ye loses. But then we move on to the present indicative middle and passive. Luamai, lue, luatai, luamata, luasta, luantai. I am loosing for myself. Thou art loosing for yourself. We are loosing for ourselves. You are loosing for yourself. They are loosing for themselves. Or it can also be passive. I am being loosed, you are being loosed, and so forth. So that's future, that's present, indicative, middle, and passive. Then we go to the, let's say, the future indicative active of luo. Luso, luces, luce, lucimen, lucite, lususin. I will lose. Thou wilt lose, or you will lose. He, sure, it will lose. We will lose. You, plural, will lose. They will lose. And then future indicative middle, lusamai, luce, lucitai, lusamata, lucista, lusantai. I shall lose for myself, you shall lose for yourself, he, she, or it shall lose um, for oneself, we shall lose for ourselves, you shall lose for yourselves, and so forth. They shall lose for themselves. Then we have the future indicative passive. Lutesamai, lutese, lutesatai, lutesamata, lutesiste, lutesantai. I shall be loose, you shall be loose, he, sure, it shall be loose, and so forth. It is interesting that the theta eta sigma is similar to the aorist with the theta eta, which I want to go there in just a moment, but let me go to the imperfect indicative active of luo. Eluan, eluus, elua, eluamen, eluate, eluan. I was loosing, you were loosing, he, sure, it was loosing, we were loosing, you were loosing, they were loosing. And then we have the future or the imperfect indicative middle and passive, which would be eluamen, eluu, eluata, eluamata, eluasta, eluanta. I was loosing for myself. You were loosing for yourself. He, sure, it was loosing for oneself, and so forth. We were loosing for ourselves. Uh, then we have the aorist after the imperfect uh, and imperfect active and middle. The aorist, elusa, elusas, eluse, elusamen, elusate, elusan. I loosed. You loosed. He, sure, it loosed. We loosed. Ye, plural, loosed. They loosed. Future or aorist indicative middle, elusamen, eluso, elusata, elusamatha, elusista, elusanta. I loosed for myself, and so forth. You loose for yourself. He, sure, it loose for himself or herself. And then we lose for ourselves, etc. And then we have the aorist indicative passive Aluthe, aluthe, saluthe, aluthe men, aluthe te, aluthe son. I was loosed. You were loosed. He, sure, it was loosed. Uh, we were loosed, and so forth. You always went first, second, third person, singular and plural, when we learned Greek by memory back in the day. And then we moved from there to the perfect indicative active from Luo. Leluka, lelukas, leluke, lelukamen, lelukate, lelukasin. I think it is correct. I have loosed. You have loosed. He, sure, it has loosed, and so forth. Uh, then, lelumai, lelusai, lelutai, lelumathai, lelusai, lelut, excuse me, lelumai, lelusai, lelutai, lelumatha, leluntai, I believe. That is, I am loosing, or I have been, we're putting it into the perfect, I have been loosed, or I have loosed for myself, and so forth. Then we have the pluperfect, I had loosed. Elalukain, elelukes, eleluke, eleluke min, eleluke te, eleluke son. I had loosed, you had loosed, he, sheer, it had loosed. You have it in the pluperfect, which is prior to the time of the imperfect, or of the perfect, I should say. So let me just stop there. I'm doing this for the fun of it, and just to keep my mind thinking and reviewing what I learned, I guess you would say, over 60 years ago. And so I hope this helps somebody. It helps me just to do it. And one of the things that I feel is that learning a language, it's good to memorize the conjugations. Today, most of my former students would say, well, why do I do that, Gary? I don't have to. And that's true. But there's something about putting it into the mind that I think gives a quicker grasp of the reading of the text by doing it from memory. And I would just encourage students of New Testament Greek to do that, as well as Hebrew. And so I'm doing this just for my own uh, mental enjoyment, but also maybe it will help someone to say, I want to memorize the conjugations as well as using the computer to type it in and that'll give me the breakdown. There's something about the challenge, I think, of doing it. So at any rate, I'm having fun. I hope it helps somebody.